Yu Otasaka talks about his special power. He can enter other people's bodies just by thinking about them. He explains that he can stay in another body for only 5 seconds, and during that time, he becomes unconscious in his own body. At first, he would use his power on people who made him angry, starting fights and then quickly returning to his own body. Even though he could only possess someone for a short time, he eventually found the perfect way to use his abilities. During class, the teacher announces the exam's end time. Yu uses his powers to possess all the smart students in his class and copy their answers. On the day the results are revealed, everyone is astonished to see Yu's. Inspired by this achievement, Yu sets a goal to attend the most prestigious high school. However, there's a challenge: you cannot predict the intelligence of the other students taking the entrance exam. To overcome this, Yu disguises himself and conducts research on the students planning to take the exam in different schools. Eventually, Yu attains the highest score in the entrance exam and is invited by the administration to share a few words. While delivering a captivating speech, Yu captures the admiration of all the girls and gains popularity at school, attracting significant attention. After class, he meets a fellow student who asks him out on a date. However, Yu declines politely, explaining his busy schedule, and reveals that he only has eyes for Yumi Shiryanagi, the admired girl at school. As school ends, Yumi leaves with her friend to visit her favorite restaurant. On their way, a dangerous situation unfolds when a truck driver attempts to harm Yumi. Within a brief 5 seconds, Yu intervenes and rescues her, leading them to the school clinic. Grateful, Yumi invites Yu to join them for lunch. Unbeknownst to them, a mysterious entity covertly records Yu's actions from a distance. The following day, Yu is summoned by Omara, the student council president, who accuses him of cheating on the entrance exam. Omara challenges Yu to retake the same exam and achieve a score of over 90% to prove his innocence. Reluctant to comply, Yu initially tries to leave but faces the threat of expulsion from Omara. Determined, Yu takes the exam and realizes that Omara possesses his previous answer sheet, which he can now acquire using his powers. However, upon possessing Omara, Yu discovers his deceit. Upon regaining consciousness, Yu is confronted by Tamori Neo, who has been secretly documenting his actions. Despite Yu's denial, Neo presents undeniable evidence of his cheating in all of his exams. Yu hurriedly escapes from the council and encounters Jojo on his way outside. Jojo swiftly catches up with Yu and discloses the existence of others in the world possessing special abilities. Jojo reveals his own ability, which is teleportation, but admits that he lacks control over the distance he teleports. Another individual named Now joins them and demonstrates her power of invisibility, though limited to a single target. They come to the realization that all their abilities have significant flaws. Now proceeds to explain that their powers will eventually fade away, and until then, they will attend a specialized high school designed for those with supernatural abilities. She insists that Yu join the student council due to his useful ability, which can prevent the misuse of powers by others. Later, Yu invites Yumi to lunch at her favorite place and explains that he is transferring to a new school for complicated reasons, which will result in them not being able to see each other often. Yumi ends their relationship and bids farewell. Yu transfers to the new school, and the council assists them in settling into their new dormitory. As Yu prepares for his new class, he encounters the council members on his way there. Nile explains that some students may have the potential to develop special abilities, while others are born with them. He warns that if the government were to discover these abilities, they could be misused for purposes like assassination or research. However, Yu feels that Nile is exaggerating the situation. She discloses that her older brother was one of the unfortunate individuals affected by the current system that was established to protect students with special abilities. She explains that the student council was created to prevent individuals from misusing their powers and offers financial incentives for those who refrain from using them altogether. As the class begins, Yu introduces himself to his new classmates, feeling a sense of familiarity. However, things don't go as planned when he realizes that Now and Jojo are also in his class. Jojo invites Yu to sit beside him during lunch and demonstrates his power by using it in the cafeteria, causing significant damage in the process. Observing Jojo's injuries each time he teleports, Yu believes that his powers are incomplete. Yu then notices Now eating her lunch alone. Jojo explains that Nao's power allows her to be invisible to a single person of her choosing, while the rest of them can still see her. However, due to her violent actions, everyone started to dislike her. Nao summons them to the student council office, where they encounter a peculiar, wet and creepy man. He utilizes his powers to determine the location of a student with photographic abilities. Jojo reveals that he is a comrade with the power to unveil the location and abilities of supernatural individuals. The council then moves to a high school, and after some investigation, now discovers a suspicious student. Yu employs his powers to explore the student's belongings and finds several photographs of a fellow student in compromising situations. The student confesses that he purchased the compromising photographs from Udo, who is the captain of the archery team in Class 2E, now locates Udo and confronts him, presenting all the gathered evidence. Udo attempts to blackmail her, but his efforts are futile in the face of Yu's ability. Udo fires an arrow in an attempt to defend himself, but it proves to be ineffective when compared to teleportation. Now proceeds to explain to him the potential consequences he may face once he is caught, bringing the situation to an end. Captivated by Yu's genuine curiosity about her beloved big brother, now decides to take him along on a poignant journey to the hospital. Along the winding path, she delicately unveils the profound tale of their past. Their compassionate mother had sent them to a remarkable school, where budding souls could nurture their latent powers. Within her brother's essence resided the enchanting ability to infuse air with vibrant life at his very command. However, their innocent hopes were entangled in the intricate webs of scientific inquiry. Like unsuspecting captives, her brother became an unwitting muse for relentless experiments, where radio signals intermingled in a cacophony of enchantment. A year elapsed, a year of longing and restraint, until now was finally granted a fleeting glimpse of her transformed brother's existence. As they arrived at the hospital, there, they discovered her brother engulfed in unimaginable torment. Now, with a heavy heart, whispered to you that her brother believed he was crafting a haunting melody, his frail hands dancing as though strumming an ethereal guitar. Aching notes of agony and beauty entwined, painting a portrait of both despair and hope. Summoning her strength, now guided her brother outside, seeking solace amidst the world's embrace. In a tender moment, she confided in you, revealing the chilling truth that scientists viewed them as mere reservoirs of power, their very essence drained until they were rendered obsolete, discarded like forgotten embers. You yearned to console now, his heart brimming with empathy. Yet, now, overwhelmed by her own pain, accused him of being a transient presence, a mere mirage devoid of true understanding. On another school day, Jojo notices that Yu isn't feeling well since the beginning of class. Concerned for his friend, Jojo takes Yu to the cafeteria and treats him to curry, strengthening their camaraderie over the meal. Shortly after, now summons both of them to the student council office. Inside the office, where they encounter a wet and creepy man, he utilizes his powers to determine the location of someone with the unique abilities of channeling and empyrokinesis. In response, the team quickly rushes out to locate this individual, but due to the vast area to search, they are unable to find them immediately. However, Yu notices some footprints, leading them to believe that a young girl is being pursued by an adult. They encounter a witness who recounts seeing Yusurin, a popular idol, being chased by a man. Jojo's excitement bursts forth as he reveals his deep admiration for Yusurin, proudly confessing to being a dedicated fan who knows every intricate detail about her career. Now carefully surveys the surroundings and identifies a person who raises suspicions. With their combined efforts, the team successfully apprehends him, now takes charge of interrogating the individual and discovers that he was hired by a production company to search for Yusurin. As the team is preparing to leave the area after their encounter, a mysterious man suddenly appears and begins questioning their intentions. Now proceeds to provide a detailed explanation of the entire situation to the mysterious man, but he remains insistent on seeing proof. In an attempt to convince him, now demonstrates her powers. The man then leads them to a nightclub where they find another man alongside Yusurin, who is referred to as Misa. This man acknowledges the presence of the student council and acknowledges the complexity of the situation. Amidst the unfolding events, Yu begins to realize that Yusurin possesses the power of channeling, while Yusurin herself seems to believe that she merely sleepwalks. Now takes the opportunity to explain the nature of Yusurin's powers to both Yu and Jojo. As now mentions the name, Misa, Yusurin's demeanor undergoes a dramatic transformation, and she starts setting fire to her surroundings. In an attempt to calm her down, Yu and Jojo manage to restore Yusurin to her normal state. They then disclose the truth that Yusurin's sister is actually deceased, and the person they encountered is an imposter. Furthermore, they reveal that they discovered evidence of the producer's illicit activities, which led to Yusurin being pursued by multiple individuals. Now assures Misa that she will take responsibility for resolving Yusurin's situation. To tackle the issue, she devises a plan to blackmail Yusurin's producer. During the night, Now confronts the producer and threatens to kill him, cornering him into a desperate plea for his life. In exchange for his survival, he promises not to disclose Yusurin's secret. Once the situation is settled, Now advises Yusurin to transfer to their school. In a heartfelt moment, Now reveals the secret regarding her own brother. After hearing Nao's revelation, Misa reluctantly agrees to let Yusurin go. After a long day, all the members of the student council return to the school. Upon arriving at school, Yu discovers that news of Yusurin's transfer has already spread. As Yusurin enters the classroom and introduces herself to the students, everyone becomes excited and curious. However, Now intervenes and escorts Yu into the student council room. While Jojo continues to express his admiration for Yusurin, the creepy man informs them about a high school boy who possesses telekinesis. The man shows them footage of the boy showcasing his perfect ball pitching during a practice match, revealing that he is using his telekinetic powers to achieve such skill. The student council decides to visit the boy's school and challenges him to a baseball match. The boy agrees to the challenge but sets a condition that he will do anything if they manage to win the match. Niall devises a strategy to gain an advantage by utilizing their powers, as their baseball team lacks skilled players. However, they face a tough challenge with the formidable pitchers from the opposing team. Despite Neil's super-powered knuckleball, the opposing team's keeper easily catches it, furthering their lead. In an effort to level the playing field, Niall decides to rely on their powers. Niall directs you to take over the batting position and attempt a last-minute strike. Despite their enhanced abilities, the council is still trailing by a few points, and their success now hinges on Yu's batting skills. Unfortunately, Yu encounters difficulties in making solid contact with the ball. After receiving 2 strikes, they are left with no choice but to foul the ball each time. The opposing team in the baseball match plans to curve the ball using telekinetic assistance, making it nearly impossible for Yu to hit. However, Misa intervenes and calls another foul ball, and with the referee's decision of safe, the student council wins the game. After the game, Niall warns the boy not to use his powers again. As the team is leaving, Now asks you to possess the boy's body for an experiment, but she doesn't reveal the reason behind her request. After a long day, all the members of the student council return to the school. Exhausted from the attention Yusurin is receiving, Yu finds himself suddenly interrupted when Root barges into the classroom and takes Now away. Curious, Yu follows them and discovers that they are bullying her. Despite feeling helpless due to his own past experiences, Yu accompanies Now to the student council office, where they meet the wet creepy man. He informs them about an individual with the power of flight, which they learn about from a small cult magazine. Niall plans to stake out in the mountains and buy some snacks for the trip, while Now reveals her plan to have a barbecue. Meanwhile, Yusurin and Jojo believe that Now and Yu would make a perfect couple for each other. As the team sets up camp, Yu takes charge of starting the barbecue, concerned about attracting attention with the campfire, and they all have fun playing video games. However, Yu notices that Now is missing and goes in search of her. He finds her sitting on a cliff, lost in her own world while listening to music. Yu expresses his desire to hear the song her brother created, and when he finally listens to it, he feels a profound sense of solitude as if he is standing alone in a vast, endless field of grass. Now opens up about her brother's music, which always conveyed a sense of loneliness. She expresses her surprise that someone like Yu, who cheats, can truly understand and empathize with such deep emotions. Now shares her dream of one day recording her brother's music video, and Yu is left speechless as he witnesses a new expression on her face, filled with hope and passion. In a heartfelt gesture, Now presents Yu with the MP3 of Nao's brother's music as a gift, acknowledging the connection and understanding that has developed between Yu and Nao. The following day, the group engages in a fishing competition and enjoys grilling the fish they catch. As the day progresses, the girls take a bath while the boys clean up in the river. Yu is impressed by Jojo's muscular physique and asks him about it. Jojo explains that he trained his body to better control and handle his ability. However, Jojo is about to reveal something but changes the subject instead. The following day, a boy confronts the student council and threatens to involve the police. Now reveals that she has captured footage of him practicing flight on private property, setting a trap for him. The boy falls for the trap and uses his flight ability, but Yu possesses him while in mid-air, reducing his velocity and preventing him from stealing the camera, and now demonstrates her own ability to prove that he is not alone. After completing the mission, Yu returns home to his sister and enjoys her delicious cooking. He learns that she has caught a cold and takes care of her, ensuring she gets plenty of rest. Meanwhile, Yumi's fever continues to rise, and Yu advises her to rest, calling the school to inform them of her absence. Yu rushes to the student council office where the wet, creepy man interrupts, revealing the location of an individual with the power of collapse. To their shock, the location turns out to be their own condo. Niall explains that parents usually do not possess special abilities, so it is likely that someone in their condo has fallen ill and missed school. Yu becomes anxious and confides in Niall about his sister, concerned that she might awaken her powers if he has already awakened his. In the meantime, Nao and Yusurin decide to buy gifts for Yu's sister and pay her a visit at their home. As they arrive at Yu's home, they discover 3 of Ayumi's friends already there. Yu notices something peculiar about one of the girls but doesn't voice his concerns immediately. During dinner, Ayumi playfully teases Niall and Yu about being a couple, which Niall warns her about the dangers associated with the collapse ability. Yu questions Niall about the lack of evidence to support their claims. Now cautions Yu to keep his sister Ayumi at home for a few more days, expressing concerns that there is a high likelihood of Ayumi awakening her powers. Recognizing the potential risks, Nao takes proactive measures by setting up surveillance around the middle school, fearing that their lack of evidence could have severe consequences for the council. Despite Nao's instructions, Ayumi defies them and sneaks out to attend school. Unbeknownst to her, she encounters Campfire, who harbors jealousy towards Ayumi. In a fit of anger and accusation, Campfire attacks Ayumi with a blade cutter, accusing her of theft. In this chaotic moment, Ayumi unconsciously unleashes her collapse power, resulting in the destruction of the building. Despite Nao's efforts to restrain him, Yu disregards her and rushes forward. Later, he regains consciousness in the hospital only to be crushed by the devastating news of his sister's passing. Consumed by overwhelming guilt and depression, he isolates himself from others, refusing to be uplifted by his friends' attempts to help him. He remains trapped in his misery, subsisting solely on instant ramen. During one fateful day, Yuri visits him, but he reacts with anger and pushes her away. Eventually, Yu makes the difficult choice to leave the town, assuming the identity of a police officer in order to avoid being recognized. He arrives in a new town and fills his days playing video games at an arcade, gaining a reputation for standing up against bullies. However, he falls into the trap of addiction to a drug and finds himself on the verge of succumbing to its harmful effects. In a crucial moment, Nao steps in and saves him from the brink. Recognizing the severity of the situation, Nao takes Yu to her family's home where she prepares a simple meal of rice, Yu's sister's favorite dish, using a recipe passed down from their mother. Overwhelmed by emotions, Yu breaks down and makes the decision to return to the student council, ready to face his responsibilities once again. After the tragedy he experienced, Yu finds the strength to rebuild his life with the help of his supportive friends and a newfound understanding of the importance of small moments of happiness and comfort. With determination, he gathers himself and returns to school, ready to embrace a fresh start. His old friends warmly welcome him back, but some classmates become envious of Yusurin's kind treatment towards him. Yu notices Nao sitting alone in a corner and recalls how she played a crucial role in saving him from his struggles. During lunchtime, Jojiro uses his teleportation ability to buy curry for the group, reminiscent of their past experiences together. During their lunch break, Nao gathers everyone in the student council office and insists that they watch Yusurin's new music video. Afterwards, she reveals that the creepy man they were expecting won't be showing up that day. Nao then invites everyone to a ZN concert, a band unfamiliar to Yu. She explains that only one person can accompany her, and after some discussion, Yu is chosen. The next day, on his way to school, Yu encounters a blind girl named Sulla who feels strangely familiar to him. She insists that he takes her to a noodle restaurant and eventually reveals herself as the vocalist of the band called The End. Sulla senses the despair and sorrow in Yu through his breathing and vocals, prompting him to open up and share the whole story with her. Yu takes Sulla to Kazuki Tamori's room, where she begins singing a soothing melody that has a calming effect on Kazuki. Kazuki can recall Niall's name. As the night comes to an end, Yu eagerly anticipates the upcoming ZN concert, with Sulla promising to sing while keeping him and his special someone in mind. A phone call from Nao interrupts his thoughts, as she expresses gratitude for his assistance in helping her big brother recognize her. However, the following day, Yu finds himself overwhelmed by his choice of clothing, feeling unusually indecisive and unsure about what to wear. After trying on numerous outfits, Yu finally meets up with Now. He is in awe of her beauty and realizes that Now is truly a captivating individual. Standing in a long line, Now finally purchases the ZN phone case she has been longing for. As time passes, Sulla begins to sing a new song that evokes a feeling of familiarity within Yu. He starts to recall memories, finding himself transported to a cafe where he is sitting with Ayumi, listening to ZN's music. In the same cafe, he notices an old researcher engrossed in listening to classical music. Every day, Yu engages in conversations with the researcher at the cafe, questioning why he is always there. The researcher confesses that he often gets lost in his own thoughts when he listens to classical music. He shares that expressing one's unconventional ideas and thoughts can result in social rejection, much like his own experiences. Meanwhile, Yu and Ayumi patiently wait in line to get their curry. Yu explains to Ayumi that the curry they are about to eat contains supplements that enhance their abilities. However, Ayumi expresses her desire to spend time with her older brother, Shun. Yu explains that Shun's abilities are too conspicuous and thus he is not allowed to spend time with the rest of them, likely due to concerns about drawing attention or causing disruptions. Ayumi questions about his ability, and he whispers to her that his ability is to leap through time. However, he is imprisoned because of this power. Yu reflects that people mistakenly believe his true ability is to take over someone's mind for 5 seconds, but if his true ability were revealed, he would be captured just like his brother. At that moment, Kumagami sits beside Yu and reveals that he has found a telepath, but the telepath is also imprisoned. During the night, after undergoing some tests, Ayumi is taken away by the guards, while Yu is escorted to a prison cell. During the night, an earthquake occurs, startling everyone awake. Yu finds the old researcher standing at his prison cell door. The researcher reveals that Ayumi's power was forcefully awakened, resulting in the destruction of D Block. He explains that Ayumi is being restrained due to her powers and is destined to be dissected and discarded. In a desperate act, he urges Yu to use his true ability, Plunder. Fueled by determination, Yu rushes to the location of the telepath, steals his ability, and embarks on a mission to save his brother. During his escape from the guards, Yu receives assistance from his friend. Together, they manage to elude their pursuers. Yu successfully releases his brother, hoping that Shun will be able to bring about change in the world. However, when Yu wakes up in the hospital, he is met by Kumagami, who reveals himself to be the mysterious and unsettling figure from before. Kumagami informs Yu that all of his questions will be answered once he meets Shun. He hints that Yu's powers will play a crucial role in rescuing Ayumi. Now is taken aback by the revelation that Yu is Shun's younger brother. Kumagami leads them to their research facility where Shun begins to recount the arduous journey he has experienced. It starts with Shun awakening in his younger body and he patiently waits for Kumagami to find him, knowing that they had formed a deep bond as soul friends in the future. Kumagami introduces Shun to a group of individuals he has gathered. Initially, the 3 members of the group are suspicious of Shun, but he decides to alleviate their doubts by revealing their names and abilities. With this gesture, he gains their trust. Shun proceeds to disclose the tragic outcomes they have faced. He had formed a syndicate of ability wielders, but regardless of their numbers, the results remained unchanged. Shun had attempted to start over numerous times, realizing that relying solely on children was insufficient to accomplish their goals. As a result, he devised a plan to use his abilities to gather gambling information and amass funds. Afterward, Shun performs another time leap. After waking up from his time leap, Shun becomes aware that his power gradually diminishes his vision. He takes the opportunity to explain the entire situation to Kumagami and the others. On his 15th birthday, Shun comes to a realization that the best way to ensure the safety of the children with abilities is to establish a school specifically for them. This school would provide a protected environment where they could learn, grow, and harness their powers without the fear of persecution or capture. After sharing his plans with Kumagami, Shun discloses that this is their final opportunity as he knows he will eventually lose all of his vision. When he wakes up once again, his vision is completely depleted. Despite this, Shun remains determined to fulfill his mission. He expresses his desire for Kumagami to erase his existence from the minds of Yu and Ayumi. Additionally, he aims to establish similar schools across Japan, ensuring the safety and development of children with abilities beyond just their own school. Shun's ultimate goal is to create a network of protected spaces where these children can thrive and find acceptance. After bidding a final farewell to Yu and Ayumi, Shun erases their memories of him in the present. He expresses his remorse to Nao for not being able to save her older brother. Shun then informs you that there is still an unfinished task, the promise to save Ayumi. He urges you to take his power of time leaping in order to rescue Ayumi. Now reveals that both she and Jojo were already aware of Yu's power of plundering, which allows him to take others' abilities. She explains that all the ability wielders you had possessed until now had lost their abilities as a result. However, Yu discovers that his telekinesis ability remains intact. Shun advises him to loot his own ability, leading Yu to plunder his brother's ability of time leaping. Using his newly acquired ability, Yu leaps back in time to the day Ayumi was supposed to die. He goes through the day just as he did before, but this time he explains the entire situation to Nao, who believes him instantly. Yu expresses his gratitude to Nao for saving him after Ayumi's death. Once Nao leaves, Yu plunders Ayumi's ability to collapse. The following day, he sends her to school, where she was originally intended to be harmed by a bully. The council successfully intervenes and saves Ayumi from the bully, ensuring her safety. Later, Kumagami takes Yu and Ayumi to meet with Shun. During the meeting, Yu explains the entire situation, detailing how he utilized his time-leaping ability to save Ayumi from a life-threatening situation. Shun delivers the unfortunate news that he will remain at the research facility due to the immense power of his abilities. The head of the research team then explains to you that their powers were awakened by a rare phenomenon called the Charlotte, which occurs every 400 years. The particles released during this event trigger the emergence of superhuman abilities in individuals. Furthermore, the researchers disclose that they have developed a drug to counteract the effects of the Charlotte, but it can only be administered to those who have not yet awakened their abilities. They express concern over the widespread persecution of people with abilities, referring to it as a witch hunt, and Shun reveals his determination to save all those affected by it. While playing, Kumagami discovers another ability wielder and plans to report it to the council. However, he refuses to bring you with him. On his way, Kumagami's driver, Furuki, reveals that his family is being held hostage and he must take Kumagami to another location. Furuki takes Kumagami to a remote location where he is injected with a truth serum. A mysterious organization interrogates him about the hidden aspects of their abilities, and under the influence of the serum, Kumagami ends up revealing everything to them. The criminals then contact Shun, demanding an exchange Shun for Kumagami and Furuki's family. They threaten that if Shun uses his time leap ability, both Kumagami and Furuki will suffer agonizing consequences. Shun assures Furuki that his family will be kept safe, and he calls for a meeting to address the situation. He admits that he made a mistake by allowing Furuki to join despite knowing about his family's situation. After deep consideration, they decide to entrust you with handling the situation since he has the ability to plunder their abilities or time leap if needed. Shun explains the entire plan to you, expressing his doubts about himself. Unintentionally, Yu activates the collapse ability, causing some chaos. However, Shun manages to calm him down before any major damage occurs. After contemplating for a while, Yu becomes determined to save Kumagami and Furuki's family. He heads to a remote location where he is suddenly attacked by an ability wielder who slashes his eye. With only one eye left, Yu realizes he cannot time leap and is forced to use collapse in the midst of the chaos. Shun and the others are confused by Yu's use of collapse and rush towards the building where the incident took place. As they look through the rubble, the situation takes a grim turn. It is revealed that Yu used his telekinesis to control the rubble, but he was unable to save Kumagami, and he tragically dies in Shun's arms. Shun pleads with him not to leave. Yu regains consciousness in the hospital after undergoing major surgery. Upon waking up, Yu is confronted with the harsh truth that Kumagami has passed away, acknowledging that Shun, too, has isolated himself from the world since Kumagami's death. Later, Jojo and Misa visit Yu, bringing provisions with them. Yu insists that Misa meet with her parents before her powers fade completely. Misa agrees and decides to host a cooking show where she showcases her parents' food while recording the episode. During this time, Misa takes the opportunity to reconnect with her parents one last time. Ayumi also comes to wish Yu a happy 16th birthday, bringing him his favorite dish, Yu, now able to walk again, finds comfort in the presence of his friends and the thoughtful gesture from Ayumi. On the rooftop, Yu finds Shun lost in contemplation as he gazes at the vast sky. Yu reflects on his own experience after Ayumi's death, and in response, Shun reveals that the terrorists have started their actions, and Japan will soon become a part of it. Back in his room, Yu discovers Now, who explains that he should plunder all the abilities in the world. However, she is unaware of what will happen next. As Yu prepares to leave the room, he tells Now that he will plunder all the abilities in order to save her. Now questions his motives, to which Yu reveals that he loves her. Yu promises Now that he will return and that they will become lovers once he has saved every ability wielder in the world. Determined to protect those he cares about and bring about a better future, Yu sets off on his mission. Before departing, Yu makes one last visit to the rooftop, where he shares his plans with Shun and strengthens his determination. As he leaves, Yu takes advantage of Jojo's teleportation ability, Misa's telekinesis, and Nao's channeling ability, adding them to his repertoire of stolen abilities. With the newly acquired search ability, Yu's mission becomes more efficient and streamlined. Day after day, he hunts down ability users and liberates them from their burdens, using his plundered abilities to free them from their curses. As he continues to accumulate abilities, he earns the moniker of the One-Eyed Grim Reaper. During his journey, Yu finds himself learning new abilities without even knowing their names, a phenomenon he later discusses with Shun. The two continue to communicate and support each other as Yu carries out his mission to save as many ability wielders as possible. As Yu continues his journey, he comes across a camp where many people are affected by the Charlotte phenomenon but have not yet awakened their abilities. In a desperate attempt to help them, Yu uses his newfound ability to forcefully trigger their awakenings. However, during his search, he stumbles upon a healing ability and wonders if he can use it to restore his own eye and travel back in time to save Kumagami. Despite the temptation, his unwavering determination prevents him from altering the past. However, as Yu continues to accumulate abilities, something unexpected happens. His powers begin to go out of control, causing destruction in the surrounding area even while he sleeps. Upon waking up, he finds himself unable to remember what transpired during his episodes. Gradually, he starts forgetting everything, including the promise he made to Now. His sanity starts to deteriorate with each ability he acquires, and he becomes lost in the chaos of his own powers. As Yu's journey nears its end, he finds himself engaged in intense battles against military and mafia groups in various cities. In his relentless pursuit, he encounters the last known ability user, but he is shot in the back during their confrontation. However, a young girl with the power of courage comes to his aid and saves him. Despite successfully stealing the final ability, Yu's exhaustion catches up with him, and he collapses. The council intervenes and brings him back to Japan, where he eventually regains consciousness. However, upon waking up, Yu realizes that he has forgotten about Now. Now informs him that she had made flashcards as a parting gift to help him remember, and she reveals that she is his lover. Moved by Nao's dedication, Yu expresses his gratitude for the flashcards, which served as a good luck charm throughout his journey. With the support of Now and their friends, Yu resolves to create new memories and move forward. They embark on a new chapter, cherishing the bond they have forged, and the story comes to an end.